We're now going to look at part 2 of the tuning, basic tuning, the fuel tables. In this series, we're going to look at what I look for when I start finalizing a tune. Remember, we are still have expanded target AFR all the way up to 6K and up to 70% load. That's quite a lot of load area. For instance, a 116 stage 1, currently a 2020, 2021, 2022 stage 1 version will only put out at the most 70% load. So that's just about 100% your load area on definitely 100% load area on a TS 111. So we're quite up there on load. But in any case, we've loaded in, we've gone through all these examples. I think last time we stopped at 4 or 5. We've continued doing the pattern of taking logs, coming back, revising the tune that took the logs, saving that as a newer version, and repeating that process. We're now up to example version 7. I've loaded that in. I've loaded in the example version 7 logs. We've got a few peaks here, but the majority of the tune's looking pretty good. Go back here. We're going to go ahead and load in our Python equation here. Again, I had a different one in there because I was just correcting some knock in another bike. But in any case, we want to go ahead and perform this calculation. Also, one key point is what you're looking at in the data center can be anything in that data group. When we reference the files in the data center, the Python is only looking at whichever files have been opened in data center, not which data channels have been displayed. This looks at all the data channels that it needs, extracts all the data channels out of the logs that it needs to do the calculations. So we're proving that. We're going to look at the front. And the rear. Now at this point, I'm not really going to extrapolate these cells. We've gone them close. I'm just going to let it keep riding it out now. You could do either way. Let's save this. Save this 8 right now. Obviously, I did not put this in the pass 8. I put it in the final one because I know where this is heading. But in any case, let's go ahead and look at the last version, example 7. Let's take a look, compare. Now under the individual cells, we have a pretty good balance except for up here where we really hit it pretty hard, 5K up to red line. And it did make some corrections here. As you can see, it balanced out the front and rear. It took fuel out of the rear and looks like it put fuel in the front. But the rest of the table is looking pretty good. So again, look at this. We took some fuel out of here overall and then balanced the cylinders. But this area from here to here is extremely good. I mean, look at that. It's well below 0.5. You got some down here in the deceleration area. I'm not really that concerned about that area, but this operating from 40% load and on up's looking really good. This is unsupervised, pretty fat area of the curve, so I'm going to call this good. You could do one more if you want. Hit the red limit again. If you want to try to dial in these a little bit more, you could extrapolate between these cylinders here if you want. Cells on cylinders. Extrapolate that if you want. I'm going to leave it as is. So I'm going to call this final. And to finalize it, I go back to this main target AFR and I want to go ahead and get this back to what it was when we first started. So just pull up your base tune It's the easiest. I mean, I could say reset this to stock, but I'm not. Go ahead and compare it. Go down here and copy these changes to the base. So now we have that. So let's save. Yep, let's save that one as a final version. Just happens to have, I have a folder already set up for that. I usually go final one. Keep this all the same, but notice restore AFR. We have restored that. So yes, I still have the knock control set to stock. We will talk about the knock control in a future video when we start dealing with timing. Go ahead and save that. It's now our final version. Let's go ahead and load that back in. I'm going to get rid of this too. I don't need this one in the folder. Okay, I went out, I loaded this onto the bike, went out and did another complete log session. I come back in here and load that into my data center. Final one, final version 2. If you notice, this is final dash version 1. I did not quite name it the way I named it here. Okay, this is only going to be good for this area in the 14.7, but that's probably 98, 97% of your ridings. Only when you really hit it hard do you get into these areas here. Okay, so let's go to Tune Lab. I have my equation loaded. Let's go ahead and check it out. And though I have 2 logs loaded in, feel free to log, you know, just keep logging. The more data, the better. Okay. I want to save that as final version 2. I would make a new directory. I'm just going to make this consistent with the log files I took. 9, 9, 9. Let's open up this one. Compare it. Our fuel balance is getting really good. Anything below 3% is good. You can have that much deviation in gas. And when you are tuning, pick some good grade gas, but pick the gas that you're typically going to run as well. You can see we've added quite a lot of fuel in the idle through 2K range, which is a very important area. This will determine how well or how smooth that engine is when you're just kind of putting along and transitioning. So you really want to get this area nice. Spend some time riding around in a parking lot, empty parking lot. I pick churches, just ride around in an empty church parking lot on the weekday and build up some tunes. Get in front of a school zone that might have a 25 mile per hour zone that's flat. Crank it up to 5th and 6th gear and just kind of putt through at 1K to 1.8K and put some load on this area here. Get this tuned in. But anyway, this looks good, so we're going to go ahead and load up the final version 2 and repeat the area between idle and 3.75K and try to hit as much of that operating range as we can to really zero in that fuel. So we just did another cycle, so we come in here and we pick up those logs. Again, we're hitting some points up here. Imagine they're in the mid-range. Go ahead and run your equation. Still adding some fuel here. Quite a lot there. 2-3%. Save this. Final 3. Pass 10. Usually takes about 10 passes to dial in your tune good. It's equivalent to 10 dyno runs, I guess. But I believe you will end up in a much smoother running engine than what you're going to get on a dyno. So let's compare this thing to the last one. Look at that, almost perfectly balanced front and rear cylinder. When you're below 0.5% change, you got a winner. I mean, this is a well-balanced engine from a fuel perspective. Still putting in, again, 2 to 3% on the mid-range. Pulled a little bit out here. That's typically right at your decel periods. But this is looking extremely good. Anything below 3%, I'm pretty much happy with. But you're tuning it yourself, so knock yourself out. Keep logging until you're happy. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and flash V3 into the bike. I'm going to go back out and cruise around and take some more logs. I've come back. I've saved them over to the computer, and here they are. You notice there's quite a bit here. We just kept logging for the day. We're out joyriding. Your power band is restored at this point. You can ride this bike as hard as you like. You're only capturing data between idle and your upper end of the cruise. So go out and cruise around. Hit those areas between idle and 3.75K RPM, and then just enjoy yourself. And keep hitting that button. That's another reason why I like to mount the PV3 on my handlebar on my bike, to where I could just keep hitting the log and seeing that it's recording. So let's go ahead and run this. And here we are. So let's go ahead and save this. We're at V4. Pass 11. Now, here we go. And let's compare it. Open. Okay, front and rear, again, can't ask for anything better than that. Okay, this, you have this one few up here. Again, this is all in kind of like the decel range, but the majority of your operating range is great. To me, this is kind of like I'm finished. But again, you're tuning this yourself. Do one more pass. This is a good tune. Okay, let's take a look at the knock real fast, because that's something I have not looked at. This is that version. Let's see how our knock is looking. This is when I start looking at timing. I don't do it beforehand unless it's a real brand new tune on an unknown engine. Okay, I have less than 2.25 knock. This is less than 1% knock. Very little knock activity, so I am not going to touch this timing at this point. I guess if I'm really wanting to get out there and do something, I adjust my timing up a little bit. But this thing I've already optimized on timing. Let's look at where my timing is compared to stock. You can see I've already added quite a lot of time in here. I've taken timing out. This is a unique case. This is a TS111 with a stage 3 cam. So I've already, on my bike, I've already gone out here and really optimized the timing. And because I've already done that, you can see timing 2 has been modified. Timing 2 modifier by AFR has been modified. The rear cylinder has been modified. And my tip out is all been reset. Here I've kept some timing removal here. You could actually go to all zeros here. But we're going to dive into the timing a little bit more on the next discussion, start going through some of these tables. But we want to finish the fueling here. If you notice, my front and rear injector compensation has been changed. You most likely have all ones on yours. I'm going to provide the equation after this series on how to correct for this table, and you'll see it's identical to what you've been doing. So we're going to call that a day.